Being an amateur game developer and having a bachelor's in game design, I have a fairly good idea of the staggering amount of work that goes into creating a game world. While I am aware that games like Uncharted and The Last of Us, with their tight, linear worlds, take a huge amount of work to realize. But crafting an open world that acts and feels real for the player is an enormous undertaking. Even the most simple and barely functional open world games take hundreds of developers, hundreds of hours to complete. In this series, I am going to be analyzing game worlds, not the games themselves, in order to find the best game worlds in the business. I will break down the worlds into 5 simple criteria. 1. Functionality, meaning technical stability, how well it runs. 2. Realism and immersion, meaning does the world feel real, its level of detail, and does the player feel like they belong there. 3. Quality of the extra story activities, meaning the side quests and activities, are they fun and well realized? 4. Traversal, meaning how does the player get around the game world and how well this system works? And finally, 5. The overall map design, meaning does the world and its different elements go together and does it feel natural or forced? In order to not seem to just be reviewing games I personally like, I have created a program that will randomly pick an open world game from a library of 50 plus open world games and growing, all from this console generation, to include re-releases or definitive editions. I will score every criterion out of 100 and then tabulate an average score for its final rating. This video will already be longer than most due to this explanation, so without further ado, let's turn to my game selector and see what world I will be analyzing first. One disclaimer, I actually do whatever game comes up first. I never re-choose. Okay, so we're about to select the game, and okay, it's finding, and oh, Spiderman, a game I actually like. Marvel's Spider-Man is set in a fictionalized New York City. It was released on September 7th, 2018, exclusively for the PlayStation 4 console. It was developed by Insomniac Games, and the lead designer was James Cooper. The world consists entirely of a recreated Manhattan cityscape. The client version at the time of this analysis, 1.16. The game runs near flawlessly on the PS4 Pro at 4K, which is not surprising with a Sony exclusive title. Even at Spidey's fastest achievable speed, I saw no frame rate drops. The only real instance of FPS dropping was when falling for extended periods of time off high buildings, but this doesn't always happen. I am aware that there are several instances of FPS drops in certain story missions, but those won't be considered for this analysis. You can, however, see some texture pop-ins, but you really need to be looking for them. Even on systems that as the player you're not supposed to even see, like traffic and pedestrians, all function well with no real glitches or oddities I was able to find. I'll give the functionality 99 out of 100. The attention to detail on display in this game is impressive. The developers clearly don't bank on players never going to street level. While places like Times Square are beautiful to swing through, if you stop web-slinging and go to the ground, you'll find that the systems such as traffic and pedestrians are very well realized. The car models are very high in detail and all act appropriately, stopping for pedestrians and red lights, although they do have some trouble dealing with the open-world car chase events, often clipping into each other and moving unrealistically. The pedestrians are impressive as well. They react to Spidey when he comes to the ground, and if he lands at a high speed, they might even startle. However, they only react in animation, and they can never be hurt or affected by any of Spider-Man's abilities. No real interactions are available either, other than the contextual random encounters that generally just consist of a high five or a quick selfie. The NPCs are also, for the most part, an appropriate height to your character. A big thing I see in a lot of games is your player character being huge compared to NPCs in the world. This is not the case here. Although Peter Parker is said to be 5'10", and not a single NPC is taller than him, but I'll overlook that. Buildings have visible interiors. These are single rooms that usually repeat, but it's awesome that they're here at all. The building's glass also reflects appropriately. The reflection isn't accurate to the surrounding landscape, but being as it's not possible to make a texture actually reflect in a game engine, and they most likely used an image projection to achieve this effect, it's still a great addition. A big drawback in the realism is a lack of day-night cycle. The day and night is dictated by where the player is in the story and never changes. This could result in it being night for countless hours of gameplay. It would be really nice to see Spidey swinging through New York at sunrise, but it was not to be. During the DLC missions, it's night pretty much the entire time. On realism and immersion, I'll give a 90 out of 100. The crime events that happen throughout the city do make you feel like a superhero, but they become repetitive fast. It would have been nice to see more options in dealing with these events, but as it stands now, car chases have the same series of actions that play out the same way every time. Robberies see you beating up several thugs, then moving on, not much variation there either. Then there is an event that has you using a homing system that you only use in certain parts of the game for no adequately explained reason, and these tracking events just simply are not fun. If you like collectibles, this game has plenty, even if they make no sense in the world context. The main collectibles are a ridiculous number of Peter's old backpacks that he left all over the city for some reason. Then there are photos of real landmarks you can take. These can be taken while swinging past and don't require much extra effort. There is also a number of challenges and side quests that are, for the most part, fun, though some are more frustrating. The Harry Osborn storyline is very interesting, and finally the gang hideouts are a good showcase of the combat system. I give the extra story activities a 70 out of 100. If the side activities don't distract you from the main missions, the traversal just might. It's smooth, intuitive, and best of all, super fun. It's clear a huge amount of work went into the movement system in this game. While swinging through the streets of New York, this is where you'll feel the most like Spider-Man. The only thing I have to say about the traversal system is that Spider-Man 3 for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 exists. In that, you could choose the hand from which you fire your web. I would have liked to see a system like that in this game. Other than that, I have nothing else to say about the traversal. I give it a 99 out of 100. The map is pretty straightforward. It's a city. There's not a lot other than that. The only nature you'll see is in Central Park, but if you ever wind up there, you'll feel out of place due to the lack of objects to swing from. While the map is broken up into boroughs, like the actual city, other than Times Square and Central Park, there is no real visual distinction between them. I could never identify any one area of the map by visual cues alone.
Police are coming to protect you.
That's not to say the map isn't well made. It is. There just isn't a lot of variation throughout the city. That all being said, the world feels like a convincing city. The sounds and structures of the world, coupled with the level of detail in the buildings and storefronts, all make it feel real. I'll give the map design 90 out of 100. Marvel's Spider-Man's final score comes to 89.6 out of 100. It's a great map that has a ton of detail, even when it didn't need it. Although its repetitive side activities bring it down, it's still an amazing and beautiful open world. Thank you so much for watching my first world analysis. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please like, comment, and subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter at @WisdomGames. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you next time.